Hello learners, this is Habeeba with Excelwithme. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Let's start today's class, that is Central Teacher Eligibility Test Part 3. In this, we are going to understand the 4th chapter of Class 6 Social Science. What books and burials tell us the chapter name? So let's begin with the questions. What are the four Vedas? What are the four Vedas? The Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda and Atharva Veda. Which is the oldest Veda? The Rig Veda. When was Rig Veda composed? About 3500 years ago. Very important questions. The Rig Veda includes more than 1000 hymns. What are they called? They are called Sukta or well said. What are the hymns in Rig Veda about? These hymns are in praise of various gods and goddesses. Now, which of the three gods especially important in Vedic period? Agni, Indra and Soma. Now, choose the correct matching related to the three gods. Agni, the god of fire. Indra, a warrior god. Soma, a plant from which a special drink was prepared. All are correct. All these matchings are correct. Now, who composed the hymns? The sages or rishis they were called. They used to compose the hymns. What did the priests teach the students? They taught the hymns to recite and memorize each syllable, word and sentence bit by bit with great care. Now, let's see the statements. Most of the hymns were composed, taught and learnt by men. A few were composed by women. Yes, both are correct. Now, the Rig Veda is in old or Vedic Sanskrit, which is different from the Sanskrit we learn in school these days. So, Rig Veda is in old or Vedic Sanskrit language. Now, Sanskrit is part of a family of languages known as Indo-European. Very important questions. Now, let's understand the statements again here. Sanskrit is part of a family of languages known as Indo-European. Now, some Indian languages such as Assamese, Gujarati, Hindi, Kashmiri and Sindhi, Asian languages such as Persian and many European languages such as English, French, German, Greek, Italian and Spanish belong to this family. Now, they are called a family because they originally had words in common. Take the words mantra, the matra, Sanskrit, that is ma, Hindi and mother, English. So, matra, ma, mother. So, these common things are there. That's why they are called the same family, that is Indo-European family. Now, those used in the northeast belongs to the Tibeto-Burman family. Tamil, Telugu, Kannada and Malayalam belong to the Dravidian family. The languages spoken in Jharkhand and parts of central India belong to the Austro-Asiatic family. These are all correct. We have to remember, very important, northeast Tibeto-Burman family. South one, that is Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, that is Dravidian family. And then next one, Jharkhand and parts of central India, Austro-Asiatic family. Very important questions can come from those things. Now, the statements, the Rig Veda was recited and heard rather than read. It was written down several centuries after it was first composed and printed less than 200 years ago. All are correct. Now, what form are some of the hymns in the Rig Veda? They are in the form of dialogues. The part of one such hymn is a dialogue between a sage named Vishwamitra and two rivers, Bias and Sutlej, that were worshipped as goddess. This is very important point. Where was a page from a manuscript of Rig Veda on birch bark found? That is in Kashmir. When was a page from a manuscript of the Rig Veda on birch bark found? That was about 150 years ago. Now, where is one of the earliest printed texts of the Rig Veda as well as an English translation now preserved? That is preserved in a library in Pune, Maharashtra. Now, statements again. Rivers, especially the Indus and its other tributaries and the Saraswati, are also named in the hymns. The Ganga and Yamuna are named only once. These are related to Rig Veda. Rivers are especially mentioned. The Indus and its other tributaries and the Saraswati also mentioned in this Rigvedas, and Ganga, Yamuna are named only once. Both are correct. Now historians point out that the hymn was composed in the area where the rivers flow. They also suggest that the sage lived in a society where horses and cows were valued animals. That is why the rivers are composed to compared to horses and cows. All the statements are correct. Now there are many prayers in the Rigveda for cattle, children, especially sons and horses. Battles were also fought for land, which was important for pasture and for growing hardy crops that ripened quickly, such as barley. Some battles were fought for water and to capture people. These are all correct, related to Rigvedic period. Now some wealth kept by the leaders, some was given to the priests and the rest was distributed amongst the people. Some used the performance of yagnas or sacrifices in which offerings were made into the fire. These were meant for gods and goddesses. Offerings could include ghee, grain, and in some cases animals. These statements are very important. Both are correct. Now what are the two groups who are described in terms of their work? They were the priests, sometimes called Brahmins, who performed various rituals, and the Rajas. These are the two groups. What were the two words used to describe the people or the community as a whole? Very important question here. Jana, which we still use in Hindi and other languages. Vish, that is the word Vaishya comes from Vish. That is, these two, Jana and Vish, were the two words used to describe the people or the community as a whole. Now several Vish or Jana are mentioned by name, that is reference to the Purujana or Vish, the Bharatajana or Vish, the Yadujana or Vish. So what are the people who composed the hymns described themselves as? They described themselves as Aryas and called their opponents Dasas or Dasyus. Very important question. Who were the people who did not perform sacrifices? That is Dasas and Dasyus. Let's see the terms which are all correct. The term Dasa and the feminine Dasi came to mean slave. Slaves were women and men who were often captured in war. They were treated as the property of their owners, who could make them do whatever work they wanted. So related to these Dasas and Dasis, all are correct. Now where was Rigveda composed? That was in the northwest of the subcontinent. Now what are the stone boulders known as? They are known as megaliths, literally big stones. What were carefully arranged by people and used to mark burial sites? They were megaliths. When was the practice of erecting megaliths began? That was about 3000 years ago. Where was the practice of erecting megaliths prevalent? Throughout the Deccan, South India, in the northeast and Kashmir. Very important question. Now statements, some megaliths can be seen on the surface. Other megaliths burials are often underground. Now sometimes archaeologists find a circle of stone boulders or a single large stone standing on the ground. You can see the picture here. These were the burial sites they used to do this. Megaliths they are called. These are the only indications that there are burials beneath. So what are the points? Some megaliths can be seen. They are the underground on the surface, and some are underground. And sometimes archaeologists, what they found? They found circle of stone boulders. Just now we have seen here circle of stone boulders here. So this type of megalith is known as schist. Again, important point. This is schist. Some schists like the one shown here have portholes which could be used as an entrance. All the burials have some common features. Generally, the dead were buried with distinctive pots which are called black and red ware. Also found are tools and weapons of iron and sometimes skeletons of horses, horse equipment and ornaments of stone and gold. What they used to think that life is there after death also. That's why they used to bury the things with them so that they can use in the after death life. So what they buried here with the dead bodies? The what they have found here, black and red ware, and they also found some skeletons of horses. That means they used to think that even they need some food and cattle so that they can survive later. That's why they used to keep the horses and their ornaments and gold also. Then iron equipment found from megalith burials. If they give the options here, horse equipment, axes, a dagger, all these three are correct. That is iron equipment found from megalith burials. Now megaliths, sometimes more objects are found in one grave than in another. These finds suggest that there was some difference in status amongst the people who were buried. Some were rich, others poor, some chiefs, others followers. So in that also we can assume that during that periods also rich and poor differences were there. So because of these burial sites we can make out this, because some burials they have few objects, some they have many objects. Here one skeleton was buried with 33 gold beads, 2 stone beads, 4 copper bangles and 1 conch shell. Other skeletons have only a few pots. So that was Brahmagiri. Very important place we have to remember, Brahmagiri. How were the bodies of those who died later were brought into the grave? They were brought through the porthole. Then assertion and reasoning. Sometimes megaliths contain more than one skeleton. These indicate that people perhaps belonging to the same family were buried in the same place, though not at the same time. So both the statements are true. They are giving assertion and reasoning. So these are the correct answer. So let's understand a very important place, Inamgaon. It is a site on the river God, a tributary of the Bhima. It was occupied between 3600 and 2700 years ago. Here adults were generally buried in the ground, laid out straight with the head towards the north. Sometimes burials were within the houses. Vessels that probably contained food and water were placed with the dead again. Here also we have found the burial sites, like we have seen in the previous one also. Megaliths were found. Which place we have done that was? Throughout the Deccan, South India, in the northwest, these erecting megaliths were prevalent. Now the place very important we have to remember, that is Inamgaon. Where it is Inamgaon? That is the near the river, on the river God, a tributary of Bhima. And 3600 and 2700 years ago. And also here adults were buried straight with the head towards the north. Now sometimes burials were within and vessels were also found here. Now let's see the other statements. One man was found buried in a large 4-legged clay jar in the courtyard of a 5-roomed house, one of the largest houses at the site, in the center of the settlement. This house also had a granary. The body was placed in a cross-legged position. So these are the statements we have to remember. Now Charaka, related to Charaka, about 2000 years ago there was a famous physician named Charaka. In the previous chapter also, previous 1-2 chapters also, we have found these some of the questions here. There is Charaka, who wrote a book on a medicine known as Charaka Samhita. There he states that the human body has 360 bones. This is a much larger number than the 200 bones that are recognized in modern anatomy. So Charaka arrived at this figure by counting the teeth, joints and cartilage. So very important point related to Charaka. Now archaeologists have found seeds of wheat, barley, rice, pulses, millets, peas and sesame. So next question, bones of a number of animals, many bearing cut marks that show, what does it show? They may have been used as food. Because of the cut mark on the bones, archaeologists found that they may have been used as found animals. Now bones of a number of animals include cattle, buffalo, goat, sheep, dog, horse, ass, pig, sambar, spotted deer, black buck, antelope, hare and mongoose, besides birds, crocodile, turtle, crab and fish. Now there is evidence that fruits found such as bear, amla, jamun, dates and a variety of berries were collected. Now when do we find some of the first evidence of writing in China? That was around 3500 years ago. Let's understand related to China, writings in China. Elsewhere the topic at the end of the chapter we will find this. These writings were on animal bones. These are called oracle bones because they were used to predict the future. Now kings got scribes to write questions on the bones. So these are the statements which are correct and we have to remember. So we come to the end of this chapter. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.